So it's Mario's 35th anniversary and Nintendo's releasing a collection of the first 3D Mario platformers. I guess I'll review the first 3D Mario platformer and the most recent 3D Mario platformer of this video. Well then, roll the intro. Hello everyone, it's me, Buxel. Not going by Buxel Crayols anymore because that name's kinda dumb. Anyways, like I said before the intro, Mario's 35th anniversary passed last month, and Nintendo released a collection of the first 3D Mario platformers. And I can already see scalpers putting the game up for thousands of dollars. Jesus Christ, $5,000? Anyways, I'm going to be reviewing the first 3D Mario platformer and the most recent 3D Mario platformer of this video, Super Mario 64 and Super Mario Odyssey. Anyways, let's get into the review. Super Mario 64 is known as one of the most revolutionary games of all time, being a great transition from 2D to 3D and defining what 3D games could be, plus being one of the greatest 3D platformers of all time, and one of the best Nintendo 64 games. And the game is actually Charles Martinet's first role as Mario in a mainline Mario game. Now, is the game as good as people say? No, it isn't. I'm sure most people who praise the game and say it's one of the greatest games of all time and it's aged super well probably have rose-tinted nostalgia goggles on. I get it, this game was most people's childhood and was their very first 3D game. And I'm not counting pseudo 3D games like F-Zero or Doom. It's just that Super Mario 64 hasn't aged the best. And I'll talk about the flaws of this game in this review. Also, I'm recording this footage using an emulator, so take a few things I might say with a grain of salt. Also, sorry if there are any graphical glitches in the footage, so yeah, a little heads up. Some background first, I guess. The game released back in 1996, being a launch title on the Nintendo 64, originally called the Ultra 64, along with Pilot Wings, two games not being the greatest launch. Not only that, the N64's competition, the PlayStation, had already been out for a full year with at least a year's worth of games out for the system. The PS1 already moved to discs, while the Nintendo 64 stuck to cartridges. So not many third parties wanted to work on the Nintendo 64, aside from Rare, which got bought out by Microsoft. The Nintendo 64 did have a great library of games, and sold decently for what's worth, selling more than 30 million units, better than the Sega Saturn, but it was destroyed by the PS1 in terms of sales, but the PS1 selling more than 100 million units, and the PS1 won't even be Sony's best-selling system. Not only the PS1, there was the Virtual Boy that probably didn't really help Nintendo in the eyes of consumers. Plus, there was that controller and yikes. Anyway, on to Super Mario 64. Super Mario 64 starts with Peach inviting Mario for some cake, and introducing a Lakitu as the camera. And after that introduction, we get to see Mario come out of a pipe showing the game in 3D glory, which for 1996 must have been awesome to see. Plus, this is where you can get a good feel for the controls of the game, and Super Mario 64 controls greatly. It does kind of feel weird to play after Super Mario Odyssey, but the game still controls really good, and Mario has quite a few moves in the game. In Super Mario 64, Mario can punch, kick, dive, triple jump, long jump, wall jump, ground pound, side flick, back flip, which is definitely more than run and jump, maybe attack with a power up. This is also where we're introduced to the Hub World, Peach's Castle, and it's really fun to explore. There's just something about it that makes it really fun to explore and mess around with. This is a good start. The first level of the game is good old Bomb Bomb Battlefield. This level's a classic with gold catchy music, a good amount of space, and a mountain that's fun to scale. At the top of the mountain is the very first boss in the game, King Bomb Bomb, and he's piss easy. You pick him up from behind and throw him somewhere on the arena, although you can't throw him off the arena because he'll just come back. But other than that, he's easy. And he's not going to be the only easy boss. At least King Bomb Bomb is the first boss in the game, and it prepares you for some other fights in the game, so I can't excuse it for being easy. After you best him, the other stars are pretty fun to grab. The Koopa race is my favorite, even if it's a bit easy. And after each of the objectives you get a star, which are the collectibles in the game, and they are what you use to unlock levels. Whomp's Fortress is alright. It's a decent amount of fun to explore and find secrets like the red coins, the star, but the other stars in the level are kinda lame, like destroying this wall or this boss, which is kinda pathetic. All he really does is try to slam you, which is really easy to avoid. The ground pound is a weak spot, which is conveniently marked by an X on his back with two giant band-aids. The music of the level is also the same as Bomb on Battlefield, and this is not the only time we'll hear it because the game likes to repeat music a ton. Overall, Whomp's Fortress is just okay. Cool Mountain is also alright. The music is fine and I guess it's fun to explore. The slide is definitely the best part of the level. The penguin race was, in my opinion, the most fun start to get. The level can get kind of annoying with the ice and some visible walls, but overall it's okay. Not much to say here, honestly. Next up is Jolly Roger Bay, and it's bad. Mostly because the swimming in Super Mario 64 is not very fun. It's actually very slow and controlling it feels very sluggish. Plus, most of the stars are going to be doing a lot of swimming, which does get really tedious if you want to get 100%, especially since that the game forces you to leave the level every time you get a new star. So, that's going to be a lot of swimming. The music is good, I guess, but that's the only positive I can give this. And I guess that eel is also kind of scary. So if you want to traumatize kids using Mario without looking at fanfiction, then show them this level. Next is the slide, and it's fine. Nothing really special about it aside from the music, which is the same as the Koopa race. There are 2 stars in it, one just going down the slide and the other one just going down under a specific amount of time. And that's pretty much it. Next. Before we get into the first Bowser level, there is this boo that leads into the courtyard with a bunch of other boos. And one even has a level. Big Boo's Hunt. And it's fine. There's this house in the level, kinda seems like one that someone will live in, and has creepy carousel music. The fight against the Big Boo is a better joke than this meme that I found. All he does is slowly fly towards you, while just waiting for you to ground pound it. But other than that, the level was actually kinda fun to explore, and it jump scared me a bit. Next is the Bowser level, and it's pretty good. All the Bowser levels are pretty good. They're all fun obstacle courses that provide a good challenge. I like how you can mostly play them as if it was a 2D Mario game, with the camera angle to the side. And they all end with Bowser fights. The first one is, you just throw Bowser one time into a bomb and that's it. You breathe fire and sometimes run towards you, but the fight still is pretty easy. And when you beat him, you get a key to unlock downstairs. The first level downstairs that I chose to play was Lethal Lava Land, and it's pretty good. The level itself was actually really small, like most of the levels in the game, but it's really fun to explore and play around in, especially with the Koopa shell. The best part though is definitely when you get inside the volcano. It's just awesome. The boss is kinda too easy, all he really does is run towards you, but that's the only negative in his level. Other than that, I really enjoyed this level, and it is one of my favorites. Shifting Sandland is fine. The outside is alright to mess around a bit in. It's a lot more fun with the Koopa shell, plus there's this bird that tries to steal a hat after you get the star from it. Like an a-hole, also when you lose your hat, you take more damage for some reason. The pyramid is definitely the best part of the level though. It's fun and provides a decent challenge. The boss in it is kinda lame, but I'm used to lame bosses in this game by now. Hazy Maze Cave is another level that's just fine. I don't have much to say about it because it's not very memorable aside from it being where the metal cap is and the music. Plus there's a rock and Next level is Dar Dar Docks, and this level sucks. Mostly for the same reasons as Jolly Roger Bay, aka the swimming. Except that's worse here because of a little thing called lag. This level likes to lag. Now it could just be the emulator or my laptop. Hello, this is editing me, and apparently it is just the emulator or my laptop because I saw some other videos of Dar Dar Docks and it doesn't lag this badly. Maybe it's because my laptop is from 2013, but you never know. But yeah, it's still not a good level, and here's why. The level's still not very fun. Most of the stars were just tedious. I guess the red coins were fine, but other than that, all the stars are tedious to get thanks to the very sluggish swimming. Second Bowser level is good. I don't like it as much as the first one, but it's still pretty good. The Bowser fight at the end of the level is better than the first one, I guess. Bowser teleports and makes the stage rock back and forth, which is kinda cool. But he still goes down after being thrown once at a bomb, so that's kinda lame. And after you beat him, you get a key that unlocks the upstairs part of the castle. The first level that I played upstairs was Wet Dry World, and unlike the other 2 water levels, it doesn't suck. There's quite a lot of water, but you can easily use these switch things to control the water level, and it doesn't take that much time to get the water to the lowest level. And there's even a small city in this level, which is kinda neat. The red coins are fun to get, and the town does look kinda like a town that people would actually live in, aside from these switches to easily control the water level. Now I can see why no one lives here. Tiny Huge Island is fun. I enjoyed the tiny level more than the huge level, mostly because there was more to do in the tiny level, and it was just more fun to mess around in. At least you can easily switch between the 2 without leaving the level. Also, the Wiggler boss in the level is kinda lame, but the level makes up for it with a fight against a bunch of piranha plants. And there's a rematch with Koopa the Quick, which is honestly not as fun as the one in Bob-omb Battlefield. At least back in Bob-omb Battlefield, we were racing up to the top of a mountain. Here, we're just racing to some random platform that isn't even hard to get to. There's not that many obstacles on it, only the mountain. But other than that, I like Tiny Huge Island. Tall Mountain is fine. The mountain itself is fun to scale for the first time, keyword first. It can be kind of annoying to climb up multiple times. The monkey at the very top can be annoying to catch, and the other monkey, if you grab it, takes your hat, which can also be kind of annoying since, like I said before, when you lose your hat, you take more damage for some reason. But other than those things, I like Tall Mountain. Next is Snowman's Land, and this level was actually more fun than I expected. I don't know why, I just thought this level was really fun. Climbing onto a snowman's head, going inside an igloo, shredding on a Koopa shell, flying using whatever you call these guys. It was just all fun. Granted, there are these guys, which are reasons why I have trust issues. The boss is kinda lame, it's pretty much the same one as the one Lethal Lava Land. But whatever, I like this level. Upstairs, after we get 50 power stars, are 3 levels. The first one is Tick-Tock Clock, which I really like. I heard people online complaining about this level and say that it's annoying to climb up and you get pushed off and sent to your death. But really, you don't need to go that high for all that many stars, just like 2. And I can appreciate some of the challenges in the level since it's one of the last few levels in the game. And I think the level looks very cool, being inside a giant clock, which is definitely more creative than a big mountain. You can even stop time, which is a very nice touch, even if it's more useful, more for some stars than others. But I like Tick-Tock Clock. I thought it was fun, I liked the challenge, and it just all looked cool. Rainbow Cruise is also a level I heard people complain about online. But unlike Tick-Tock Clock, I agree, this level's terrible. For 2 of the stars, all you really do is just wait on this carpet thing, and it's very slow, and it takes too much time to get anywhere else. There's a way to get the stars without the carpet. Thank you, speedrunning community. But I don't think I'll be able to do that anytime soon. Also, their stars are too easy to get and they're honestly not very fun. Not horrible, but those first 2 stars are just way too bad. And the level just feels a bit too random. Just untested blocks that look ugly, even for the game standards. At least Tick-Tock Clock had a consistent theme, and I can at least appreciate the challenge in it. Here, most of the stars are just too easy, and you just wait, and it's just ugly looking. So yeah, Rainbow Cruise, not very good. Also, there's this wing cap level, which is not easy. Also, if you fall down this level, you fall all the way outside Peach's castle, which is annoying. And the final Bowser level is great. It isn't as good as the other 2 Bowser levels, but still fun. The final Bowser fight is better than the other bosses in the game. Even if it's not saying much, it's still better than most of the other ones. He has rainbow colors on him for some reason. Oh, that's why. The music's great, and the atmosphere is also good. Bowser breathes fire, runs at you, teleports, and even breaks parts of the stage after you throw him. Plus, you have to throw him 3 times instead of 1, while increasing the challenge there, Nintendo. Joking aside, I think the final Bowser fight is definitely the best boss in the game, even if it's not saying much. After you beat him, you get a star that gives you a wing cap somehow, and in the ending, Peach gets freed, she gives Mario a kiss on his nose, and then goes to make him a cake. And after the end credits, Mario says this.
Thank you so much for playing my game.
What a nice guy. After you get 120 stars, there's this cannon that you can go to blast up onto the roof and meet Yoshi, who gives you a bunch of lives and enhanced triple jump, which is kinda lame. And that's Super Mario 64. Would I recommend you play it now? Not sure. Not because the game is bad by any means, but the game hasn't aged the best and it's hard to go back to. The level themes are kinda generic. There are only 3 power-ups, the invisibility cap, metal cap, and wing cap. And you can beat the game without them. Plus the wing cap doesn't control all that great. The music is repeated over and over again. Like how many times are we gonna be hearing that Bomb Bomb Battlefield music? And finally, the boss battles are nothing but jokes. They feel way too easy and are kind of an insult to the skill of the player. The only one that really gives you a challenge is Final Bowser, and even then it's kinda easy. However, I'm not going to lie and say that I didn't at least enjoy my time with the game. It isn't perfect, but for Mario's first 3 platformer, it's pretty good. A sequel for the game was planned, named Super Mario 64 2 or Super Mario 128, utilizing the Nintendo 64 disk drive, and it was going to include stuff like multiplayer, but it was scrapped due to the N64 DD being a failure, only selling 15,000 units. But 21 years later, we got something you can kinda call a sequel to Super Mario 64.
Super Mario Odyssey!
Super Mario Odyssey takes some elements from Super Mario 64, the levels being open world with many objectives in them, and I think Super Mario Odyssey is better than Super Mario 64 in almost every way. Super Mario Odyssey's intro does not waste time with Bowser coming in to take Peach because we all know what's going to happen, so jump right into the action. Bowser knocks out Mario with his ship, destroying his hat, and sending Mario crashing down to a kingdom full of ghost hats, and Bowser flies away. Well, wuss. When he wakes up, he accidentally scares off a little ghost hat thing. And this is the part where you can feel the controls for Super Mario Odyssey, and it controls even better than Super Mario 64. You're given so much control over Mario. You can do most of the same things as he can do with Super Mario 64, aside from punch and kick. Plus you can do a spin jump, roll, and do a slightly higher jump after doing a ground pound, but it just feels a lot more natural than in Super Mario 64. After you meet up with the ghost, named Cappy, he becomes the main gimmick of the game, aka your hat. And Cappy's a great addition. You can throw Cappy as an attack, grab coins, and bounce off of him as if he were a platform. The Cap Kingdom, the first level in the game and the place you crashed into, is really small, but I can excuse it because it is the first level of the game, and at least it looks cool with the same with the hats. In this part of the level, you have to scale a tower in order to get to Bowser's minions at the top. Inside the tower, you throw Cappy at a frog, and it introduces what Cappy mainly does, possess things, or capture as what the game calls it. And the frog here is actually fun to use. It feels a little bit weird in the air because you don't have much control over it, but I enjoy using the frog capture. After you scale the tower, you meet up with Bowser's minions, who aren't the Koopalings this time. They are the Brutals. And the first brutal fight is with this guy in green, and it's pretty easy. All he does is run around with a bunch of hats on his head, and you throw Cappy at him to make him lose his hats. That fight is pretty easy, and he barely even attacks. It is the first boss in the game though, so I can excuse it. After you beat him, a yellow ball thing appears that is connected to a telephone wire. You throw Cappy at it and become an electrical ball thing, and go all the way to the next kingdom, the Cascade Kingdom. The Cascade Kingdom is an alright yet also kind of small level, but it's definitely bigger than the Cap Kingdom. The level itself looks kind of cool with all the falls in the dirt, but still feels like a generic grassland level. But it has a 2D section in it, so that's kind of neat, and you can also possess a dinosaur, so that's cool. The boss of the level is the Brutal's mom, and she's also easy. She throws her chain shot at you that you can just use Cappy to possess, and then fling it back at her, do it 3 times, and she's beaten. Next is the Sand Kingdom, and it's actually really big, at least for this game standards, which is both a positive and negative for this level. The positive being there's quite a lot to do, and there's a lot of space, but the negative is that quite a few of the areas can feel kind of barren, especially because of that desert theme. When you first arrive in the level, it's pretty cool for some reason. You have to go scale a tower, then go to a telephone wire, and meet up with another one of Brutals for another easy fight. All she does is throw bombs at you that you can send back at her, make her lose her steel hats that you can jump on her head, do it 3 times, and she is beaten. You then have to go back down some hole to go through a labyrinth in order to fight some ice dude, who is also easy. He tries to smack you, drop ice at you, and punch you, and you can possess one of his hands to punch him back. He throws ice at you to try to stop you from punching him, but it usually doesn't work. Do it 3 times, and he's beaten. There's a fork in the road for you to choose between going to the Lake Kingdom or to the Wood Kingdom. I'll talk about the Lake Kingdom since that's what I chose in my playthrough, so yeah. Lake Kingdom is fine. It's underwater leveled, but at least swimming is faster than in Super Mario 64, so the level does not suck as much, and you can possess a Cheep Cheep to swim faster in it, so the swimming is not a problem. Take notes, Mario 64. Anyway, the level itself is pretty small, and there are these weird fish people in it, but I think it's alright. There's a fight with one of the Brutals, and he's easy. All he really does is just throw his hat at you, then you can flip using Cappy, and jump on his head. Pattern. Next is the Wooded Kingdom, and I like it quite a bit. It's pretty fun, admittedly small, but it's pretty fun nonetheless. It looks cool while the plant and nature taking over the man-made structures and the machines. Also in the level, there's a part you can fall into and almost get killed by a dinosaur, which is cool. There's also a section where you possess a tank, and it's pretty cool. But there's a problem with the tank. For aiming, you use the right stick to aim, obviously, but there's also gyro aiming, and you cannot turn off gyro aiming. The gyro controls themselves are pretty responsive, and you can reset your aim, which is nice. However, for people who prefer to aim with a stick and not gyro controls, aiming can be annoying since you cannot turn off gyro aiming, so when you move to a controller, your aim will also move, at least unless you're playing with a controller that does have motion controls, but I prefer to play with Joy-Cons. So it's a problem with me, and it's an annoying problem. The 2 bosses in the level are a Brutal that spits poison out in the arena, the damage him you had to hit him, which will knock off his hat, and stop me if you heard this one, you jump on his head to hit him. Pretty easy. The other boss is a flower robot that is also kind of easy, but at least the robot looks cool. And you have to possess a stretchy plant thing to damage it. You have to stretch and break the cores, and then go in the middle and break the middle. The flower robot shoots lasers, sends rings at you, and that's pretty much it as far as its attacks go. It's pretty easy, but at least it's kind of fun. Next is the Cloud Kingdom, where it's just a boss level against Bowser. And the level itself is fine. That's a decent size for a boss battle, and the fight against Bowser is okay. He tosses hats at you, one of them you can wear to punch him. He throws rocks and makes rings of fire when he jumps, like the Human Torch's mom. And the fight is pretty easy. It's fun, but easy, like most of the bosses. And honestly, it feels kind of like a waste to have a whole level just to have a boss battle, and not even a great one. Plus, this isn't the only time the game does that, but I'll talk about that later. After you beat Bowser, his ship fires at the Odyssey and he gets sent crashing down to the next level, the Lost Kingdom. I like the Lost Kingdom. It looks like a jungle from the prehistoric era, which I like. Most of the moons in the level were pretty fun to collect, and I like the new captures. The stretchy wiggler and this dinosaur guy that glides are pretty cool. Plus, there's this very familiar looking bird that takes Cappy, and you have to rescue him by ground pounding the stair thing. And that's pretty much all this level has to offer. And there's no bosses here, so let's just move along. The next kingdom is the Metro Kingdom, aka New Donk City, and I like New Donk. The level itself looks really cool being in the city, and it's really fun to explore. You can almost get killed by a dinosaur, and interact with other people like Pauline. The other people in the level, however, don't look great. I don't know why, but they went for a more realistic style, which just doesn't really fit with the Mario characters. It's just jarring. Like, look at this and try to tell me, oh yeah, they're definitely from the same game. I wish they were a bit more cartoony like Mario and Pauline. Anyway, the boss in the level is a robotic bug, and it's fine. You use a tank to fight it, and the fight's pretty easy. All that the robotic bug does is just climb around on the side of the buildings, shoot energy balls, and probably run you down at times. But you probably guessed that the fight was easy by now. You also help Pauline in this underground part of the level to give power back to the city since the robotic bug from earlier was sucking it all up. And you fight these giant piranha plants in it. There's a musical number in the level with my favorite OST in the game. It's a little festival thing, and it's great with a fun 2D section instead of Donkey Kong. I do think that Mario should have been Jumpman to help the theme of this level, but the festival is so awesome and definitely the best part in the entire game. After the Metro Kingdom, there's another fork in the road between Snow and the Beach Kingdom. I'll go with the Snow Kingdom first. The Snow Kingdom is fine. There's a ton of snow that you can clear with Cappy, and you can freeze to death by going in water, which is a nice touch. There's this hole that leads to a bunch of challenges in order to open this hole to join a race. And I enjoyed playing these. They were pretty fun, and one even has a rematch with one of the Brutals from earlier. And it's also easy. It's pretty much the same fight before, except that the battlefield is ice, making you slip a bit, but that's pretty much it, and the fight is still easy. After you do challenges, a hole will open with these, I guess fat yetis, while waiting for another racer. You can capture this dude, and in this part of the level you can try him out, and the capture is very simple. All you really do is bounce and roll, and rolling isn't the most effective way to travel using the capture. That'll be bouncing, and in a stupid funny way, it is actually pretty fun. The race itself is pretty fun, and it's amusing to see all these fat yetis bouncing around in this track. The race itself is pretty easy, but I don't care, it's just stupid fun. The Beach Kingdom is also fine. It is a decent size with a bunch to do, on the surface and in the water. There is more room to do things than in the Lake Kingdom, and I thought it was fun to explore. Also, I like the new capture in this level. It is this octopus thing that sprays water to propel itself to move quickly, and you can shoot water at enemies, like in the boss battle. Although you do have a limited amount of water, but it does refill when you go into water. There's also this boss battle against this octopus guy who's sending in some sparkling water, and he's easy. Pretty much the whole level is the battlefield, which is quite a lot of space. The octopus guy spits shells and aggressively spins at you, but that's pretty much all he does. And it's pretty easy to damage him. All you have to do is use the capture to get over him and spray water on his head, which is pretty easy to do. Spray water on his head 3 times, and he's beaten. Not much to say, honestly. Next is Luncheon Kingdom, which is another one of my favorite levels. I just like how it looks unique and creative with all the foods. And the foods themselves have an interesting look to them, along with the vibrant colors, making everything in the level pop. And I like the creative uses of food, like being able to capture forks to fling yourself 20 feet in the air, rolling out corn, boiling soup being lava. Plus the level has a decent size, with many moonstar fun to collect. And I like the new capture that lets you travel in lava, even if it has the same problem as the frog capture in the air. And the 2 bosses in the level are a rematch with one of the Brutals that spits poison at you and on the arena. And it's basically the same fight as before, but the battlefield smaller. Not much to say about the rematch aside from that it's still easy. There was also a fight with this pink bird chef using the new capture, and it's also easy, but at least it's fun. The birds spit spike balls and throws out this pink liquid for you to travel on to hit them. The only part that's challenging is the third part where he spits apart the stream, making you jump on the platforms and this lava capture that you don't have much aerial control over. But other than that, the fight itself is pretty easy. But at least it wasn't the only thing to do in this level, which is more I can say about the next level. The Ruined Kingdom looks really cool, as if it came out of a Dark Souls game, being part of a destroyed castle and having a gloomy atmosphere. But there's not much to do. Since this is a boss level, there are only like 5 things to do, including fight the boss. And the boss itself is definitely the most underwhelming part of the entire game. This is cool looking Dark Souls dragon, except take out the challenge of Dark Souls and put in the challenge of Kirby, and you have this boss. The boss only has 2 attacks. Shoot lightning out of his mouth, and these lightning buzzsaws come at you that you can easily avoid by slightly moving the stick, or smack his head on the ground that sends these lightning shockwaves at you that you can easily just jump over like a deadly jump rope. This is also where he shows his weak spot, which is really easy to get to, and a bit too easy. It sucks how easy the fight is because, like I said before, the level itself looks really cool and has a really nice atmosphere to it, and the boss looks cool, but the fight is too easy, so it feels like a waste to have this level just be for this boss. I guess if the level was bigger with more to do, then I guess I'll be a little bit more forgiving, but it's not, so I'm not going to be forgiving. And it sucks even more since this level is one of the last few levels of the main story. Although I guess I do find it funny how after you beat him, anytime you go back to the level you see the dragon being more depressed than Cleveland, but that's pretty much the only positive about this boss. The game did redeem itself with the next kingdom, Bowser's Kingdom, and it's one of my favorite levels in the game. I like the Emperor theme in it. It makes the level look cool with the music complementing it nicely. The level isn't actually very big. There are some bite-sized segments in the level connected with telephone wires, but the segments are still fun and I enjoyed them quite a bit. Especially with the new capture, a bird that I do not know the species of, that quickly extends its beak to damage enemies, or stick to parts of walls and fling herself. It might be simple, but I definitely like using this capture, and it's definitely my favorite one in the game. The bosses are these 2 rematches with 2 of the Brutals from earlier, one with the green hats and the other with the bombs. And they are basically the exact same, aside from the one with the green hat having another attack, I think. And that's pretty much it. The fights are as easy as ever. When you confront Bowser in the level after you beat the Brutals, he runs away and leaves you to fight all 4 of the Brutals in a mecha in a boss fight that's pretty fun honestly. Easy, but fun, and it's definitely better than the disappointing dragon. The robot spits these bomb balls they had to use bird capture from earlier to fling back at, to destroy the armor on the legs, and attack the cockpits of each of the Brutals using the bird capture. I like this fight, and I like the use of the bird capture here. So Bowser ran to the moon, to the next level, and the final level of the main story, the Moon Kingdom, and it's fine, I guess. I think the low gravity is a nice touch to the level since we are on the moon, but it can also be kind of annoying to time jumps. At least you can jump higher, but that's it. At least there's a segment of the level where the gravity is normal. I don't know how, but I'll take it. And I like the segment of the level. It's not that difficult, but at least it's fun. There's even a rematch with the mom of the Brutals. She's still easy. The fight's pretty much the same, except they need to throw cap. You have to change out more to capture, thanks to the hats. But that's pretty much it. After you beat her, you go in the wedding hall to stop the wedding, and Bowser opens a trapdoor to fight you in a boss fight that's pretty fun. Very similar to before, but he also breathes fire and spins his tail more. The fight is kind of easy, but it's still pretty fun. And the section after you beat Bowser, where you capture Bowser, is definitely a pretty good way to end off the main story of the game. In the final cutscene of the main story, Mario and Bowser offer Peach flowers, and she rejects both of them and tries to lead them up there on the moon. At first I was mad at Peach for doing that, but after replaying it for this review, I thought it was more funny than anything. Mario and Bowser tried to catch up to the Odyssey, and then the credits roll, with Mario after the credits saying,
Thank you so much for playing my game.
"What a nice guy." And that is super. Just kidding. There are 3 more levels in the post game. One of them being Peach's Castle, aka the Mushroom Kingdom. And it's not like the one in Super Mario 64 though. And honestly, I prefer the one in Super Mario 64 more. Peach's Castle in Super Mario Odyssey has more things to do, including rematches with previous bosses, gathering cattle, and race Koopas. But Peach's Castle in Super Mario 64 just has more charm to it, because it was an actual castle to explore, while the one in Super Mario Odyssey is just one room. Kinda lame. I do like they are power stars and not moons. Obvious callback. And after you get the stars, the Super Mario 64 tune plays, and there's even a Super Mario 64 costume in the game. Oh yeah, I forgot about the cosmetics. Mostly because they are not really important. I do like though how they reference old games like Dr. Mario, Mario Maker, and Mario 64, plus some other obscure games like Mario Golf, and some other games that I can't think of right now. Plus there's a new capture in the level, Yoshi, and Yoshi's pretty fun. I like using his flare jump and using his long tongue to eat enemies and to grab onto walls. Like I mentioned before, you can refight bosses in the game, and they have some things added that are supposed to make them harder, and they do in most cases, like the flower robot and the robot bug. And then there's the octopus guy from the Beach Kingdom, who is easier since you cannot run out of water thanks to the rain. Even if it's not as good as Peach's Kingdom from Super Mario 64, I still like the Mushroom Kingdom. After you get 250 moons, you can go to the dark side, which is on the moon, and it's fine. The main thing in the level to do is a boss rush against the Brutals, which includes the mech with a low gravity, since we are on the moon. And it's fine, I guess. The low gravity can be annoying again, but it isn't too much of a problem. Plus the boss rush is still pretty easy. Good thing the game redeems itself with a final level that's actually difficult. After you get 500 moons, you get darker side, and it's not easy. I like the platforming challenges in the level, with many of the captures being utilized in it. And now I can somewhat forgive the game for being easy up until this point, because this final level is pretty challenging and puts your skills to the test, and it's really satisfying to beat it. And that isn't even it for the game, with more than 800 moons to collect, which sounds good since that means you'll be spending hours upon hours upon hours playing the game. But that also means there's a bunch of moons that are very unrewarding to get. But most of the moons were pretty fun to collect, like the Koopa races, the moons in the sections where you go to some random place that remind me of the secret levels in Super Mario Sunshine in a way, and the ones in the 2D sections of the game. And finally, that is Super Mario Odyssey, and I think it's a great game. I enjoyed most of the levels, even if the themes can be kinda generic. The levels were at least fun, and there were creative levels like Metro Kingdom, Bowser's Kingdom, and Luncheon Kingdom. The bosses are a bit on the easy side, but hey, they were still fun, and there was a good amount of variety in them. The game in general is a bit on the easy side, but still blast. I might have been a bit harsh towards the game at times this video for being easy, but don't take that the wrong way, I still had a blast playing it. The music is better than I remember. It isn't as classic as Super Mario 64's music, or as grand and booming like Galaxies, but it's still really good. And I honestly don't really miss the power-ups in the game, since the captures greatly make up for the lack of power-ups. Overall, Super Mario Odyssey is great and I highly recommend it. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, on the bell, whatever. Anyways, bye.